Hello everyone, I'm Cassandra.
And I'm Mom.
And this is Millennial Mom. And today we are back to bring you all another Love After Lockup Season 3, Episode 15, Cuffing Season review. And this episode was not just cuffing season, it was cracking up season because we cracked up this whole entire episode. So let's get into the review. So first we're going to start off with Scott and Lindsay, and I have a pretty big bone to pick with Scott. Not just on this episode, but in general, because it was revealed on Twitter last night that Mr. Scott likes to say racist things about black women. So anything that happens to Scott from Lindsay, even though I had no sympathy for him, all the sympathy is gone out the window.
Well, let me touch on the Twitter thing that came up last night. You know, with him making certain remarks, but Scott started off the season with, she's too pretty to get in trouble and she's white, pretty much. So that right there already had a racist overtone. So I'm not surprised by that. But along in this episode, you know, Lindsay tried to manipulate her way out of leaving the house, like calling the halfway house to see if she could change the address to her mom's and, you know, trying to make it seem like, okay, you know, if you don't believe me, I'm going to leave. Well, Lindsay, nobody believes you. Scott doesn't believe you either. And then you try to pull the card like, I just don't want you to think I'm a scammer. Lindsay, you're a scammer and you know it. But you know what? Scott caved after all that. And I think because he said, because I'm in love with you, and Lindsay just looked at him like, he kind of like, toss all that to the side like, okay, well, maybe not.
And the whole time that they were having that conversation, it was like he's the dad and he's scolding her like she's a daughter, and she's over here throwing those fake tantrums that I said that she did in a few episodes ago. So I'm like, this whole scene is kind of pointless because y'all both were misleading each other. Now let's touch on the quick scene with Shawn and Destiny. I was kind of surprised that Shawn was actually going to the courthouse by himself. I thought that at least maybe possibly a little bit Destiny would come back to the house. But not only did she not come back to the house, he was calling her that morning and she was declining all the calls. I'm like, she's really trying to pull his strings with that $50,000.
Well, it's not the house, it's the motel they were staying at.
Same thing.
But I wasn't surprised. I was thinking Destiny's going to make it seem like she was going to run by declining his calls and just not coming back at night. And then her and her sister were both drinking, so they probably left the car or Ubered or something. Just because the lawyer said you should be getting off doesn't mean she was. So I think that was her attempt to spend time with her family.
And partied it.
Yeah, but she did lead Shawn on, and Shawn at that courthouse was stressing, but I was kind of hoping she wasn't going to show up. But I knew she would show up eventually because it's like Shawn said, you know, why come all this way to run? Why? You could have ran in Vegas.
You can run anywhere you feel like running. That's why.
So next thing you know, Destiny shows up. 3 minutes left to go for the courthouse. She's like, that's plenty of time. Why are you tripping? He's like, because I didn't know what was going on. Calm down. You just need to calm down. So they walked in and...
No, he wasn't really concerned 100% about what was going on. It was that $50,000 that he didn't want to let go. And after everything's going to be all peaches and cream and she gets left off, he wants to propose to her. So we're going to see how this plays out. Okay, so for Jessica and Maurice, is it me? Or is Maurice starting to become a little bit more likable as each episode comes on?
I thought the same exact thing. I'm like, stop trying to be likable, Maurice. Just stop trying to do that, because I'm still have the thing in my head with Jessica, like, he's from Compton. He's from Compton. So that's the only thing I keep thinking of. But he's turning out to seem like he's pretty decent. And we could be wrong from at least the perceptions that Jessica gave. But, you know.
Yeah, just like one of our commenters said that they're going to be like a Brittany and
Marcelino. I don't know about that. Those are big shoes to fill.
Was that a stretch?
It is a stretch.
Well, anyways, we see them going to her parents' house. And the biggest thing, of course, she's pregnant. She doesn't want him to say anything about the pregnancy. They get in there. They have small talk, but it wasn't really anything to talk about. It's when Maurice and the dad have their little time bonding because her dad is a welder, and Maurice was like, after plans A, B, and C, this was going to be after. I was like, so what was A, B, and C? I'm curious to know. Anyways, they're welding, they're bonding, they're having a good time. Maurice keeps talking about, he loves this experience with her dad because his dad wasn't around since teenage years, so this is a good moment for them, and he wants to keep the rhythm and flow going and doesn't want to have any lies. So he had to break code, and he let her dad know that she's pregnant. He's speechless.
Of course he's speechless.
He turns red. Did I see some tears in his eyes?
I don't know if there were tears. I think he just had something in his eye. But he was definitely shocked because technically Maurice had only been out 5 weeks at this point. So he's thinking like, wow, like my daughter, at least I'm guessing he's thinking like my daughter got pregnant this fast, this guy we don't even know.
What would you think about me?
It'd be a whole different conversation. But overall, the dad said he was going to give Maurice the benefit of the doubt. And I was like, okay, that's nice. Because he also said that he would help Jessica and them with whatever that they needed for the baby or work-wise, just overall. They're not going to let their daughter fall.
But he's not trying to raise no kids.
Right. He said, this is your child. Now, I felt him on that one. So Maurice was like, I just want to ask you, Pops, for your hand, for your daughter, for everything, for life in general, marriage, just everything. Yeah, the blessings for everything. And then, you know what the dad did?
Pulled out stacks from the drawer in the garage. I'm like, first of all, that should not have been shown on camera, that you just have $1,000 and $100 bills in your garage.
Well, there were 20s and 100 on top.
Well, it doesn't matter. He had stacks in his garage, and he gave it to Maurice and said, I'm going to give you a loan to give my daughter a nice ring because, she deserves marriage. She deserves a nice ring. Even though he didn't say yes to the blessing, he just wants his daughter to have nice things. And Maurice is like, thank you. No one ever has given this much money before. And her dad was like, don't go to the casino. Don't do it on drugs. Don't get no alcohol, whatever. He's like, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
And then his confessional, he said he's going to flip it.
He's like, I take this casino and I can flip this real quick to like 3,000. Now, see, that's the biggest misconception about people going to the casino. If you all have never been. Like, you just don't go to the casino with your money and then expect you're going to win, because the casino will probably take your money before you win anything.
I have been waiting to see this couple again, Heather and Dylan. I always think of the Chappelle Show when I see Dylan, so his name is going to be Dylan for right now. We still see them on the road, Heather driving 120 and a 75.
Trying to get back to Aunt Diane's house.
Which they should have been at in the first place.
But is it me, though? Didn't this scene seem like it's been like a couple days? I was like, this is still the same scene?
It's been a few weeks because that's how long they drawn it out. But for the fact that he has only been out of prison for 3 hours,
right?
I'm exhausted for him. And I know this had to have been like a couple months to a year ago. I couldn't imagine being him, even her, and Miss Diane, all of them watching this bag. I'd be like, turn this off. That was me. But they eventually make it back to Aunt Diane's house, once again, where they should have been at in the first place.
Right, but that parole officer was in the car waiting on Dylan. He was probably in the car ready to go, as you say, RTG. And Dylan got out the car. Did you see how Heather was all calm in there like nothing was wrong?
You think Heather was calm? Heather, to me, looked aggravated.
No, in the car?
In the car, she looked aggravated. I'm like, sis, you're not the one going to jail.
So Dylan is talking to the parole officer, and of course we can't hear the voice because privacy issues and it can't be on TV. But Dylan feels that there's a chance he could go back to jail like on his first day, and the possibility was real. The parole officer actually gave him a break. This was his first time on parole, but I'm like, I wouldn't be going nowhere else. Like, this is the address you're paroled at. You need to be there. I mean, you literally just got home, and Heather's mad because you can't have no boom boom.
Heather's mad because Miss Diane was pushing up on her man.
That too.
That was the main reason why. So now the parole officer let them off, which I'm glad, because more so for Dylan than Heather, because Dylan really needed that break. And now Heather's like, I'm just so exhausted and tired. We just gonna be here now. Where you should have been at the first place.
And I was just amazed at just how calm. I took this calm. She walked in the house, passed on Diane as if nothing happened? See, Aunt Diane was better than me, but I think that she let Dylan slide because they know how Heather is deep down. So Dylan says, thank you so much for what you did. Let the parole officer know there's not gonna be no problems. Aunt Diane's like, I know, baby. I know. It's not gonna be no problems up in here.
She meant that too. Moving forward with John and Kristiana. So John made good on his promise and moved Kristiana's mama and sister into his house. And Kristiana's mom was like, I'm happy that we're here now. This seems like a safe place because I used to be upstairs while my daughter was downstairs doing the meth with the meth addicts. I was like, oh Lord.
Yeah.
This is too much going on right now in that whole little scene.
It was. And I actually felt sorry for the mom because, with her health issues and things like that, for the daughter, well, actually both daughters, to be addicted to something, but the daughter that you live with is actively downstairs with people that's up to no good, I guess, that's a lot for her. But while they're talking, the phone rings. And lo and behold, it's the halfway house. The halfway house is called plenty of times this season for John. And you know what? Kristiana is no longer a resident here. And everybody's like, what? But the thing that gets me is John wants to go find Kristiana. And the mom and sister's like, no.
Yeah, that got me too.
Because if she's strung out, like, what are you going to do? Like, I'm thinking, what you mean, what are you going to do? Find her, try to get her some help? Because eventually she's going to get picked up and go back to prison because she violated. But just how they're like, no, she hangs out with bad people and they can answer the door with guns and knives if you go look for her. And John was like, I don't care, let's go. And he's like, do you want to go with me to the sister? She's like, no, because if I go, I may just sit down next to her and use. I'm like, geez, what is going on?
Right. In one hand, I was like, okay, I can maybe see where they're coming from because maybe it could be a lot or a high risk and stress situation for either one of them, the mom and the sister. But then on the other hand, it's like you should want him to go find Kristiana because without any Kristiana, there's not going to be you and you staying in John's house because John's only doing this for Kristiana. That was not for you two.
Exactly. That was my thing. I'm like, so in my mind, I'm thinking, now, how is this going to work now? Kristiana's on the run. She's possibly, well, not possibly, she is going to go back to jail when she's picked up because she violated. So are you still going to have her mom and her sister at the house? Now, that is yet to be determined.
No, because he didn't want them there in the first place. He just took them in for Kristiana and for his good Indian spiritual beliefs, but he doesn't want them there. And for them to say that and not even to want to go find her, it's like, are you really only trying to use John for the living quarters and might even turn it into another meth house? Probably. I hope not, but if that's the track record, it could happen.
Yeah. So finally we see John on the road. It turns out that Kristiana did end up calling him saying that she needs help. She wants to see him. So he's driving to wherever they decided to meet up at.
4 a.m. the Bonnie and Clyde with no bullets.
That's what John said. And they eventually meet up and they hug and Kristiana gets in their car. She looks like she's upset, sad, and disappointed and depressed all at the same time. That was the vibe I got. Because she said she can't believe she slipped up again. And I mean, her head was hanging down as if she knew the consequences, like she was going back to where she came from square one. And I think that really got her down. And John was like, you know what? I could turn this car around and we could just ride off the sunset. I'm thinking now, why would you give up your freedom for her? She has to do the time to get help for her addiction and face the consequences for whatever.
Because he said that she is her world. And even though I'm not a big John fan, I do really actually like and appreciate that she knows that he is going to be there no matter what. Is going to support her, not going to turn his back on her and actually go find her. Unlike the mom, even though the mom can't do that, but the sister, and not even say anything negative towards her, just try to build up her confidence. Even though now he wants to go on the run with what he said, his fugitive wife, to his house. I'm like, see, now y'all both about to get caught up. They'll be waiting for her at the door.
Yeah, you see how fast they caught her butt at the cafe? They gonna be there.
So we saved the best for last, and it's also mom's boy, Tyrese and Shonda. We see Tyrese getting his workout on, getting his fitness on, trying to keep his body right and tight for any young girl that comes his way.
Wait a minute. He said he works out 3 days a week and he's keeping his body tight.
In shape. He now lets us know it's been 3 months since he's last heard from Shonda. Not a call, not a text, nothing still.
But did you realize, like, last week when he was meeting with his daughter, or a week before with Tyrese, that he said it was 2 months? It's already 3 months?
Mm-hmm. So a month later, he's still calling, texting.
Mm-hmm.
I would have gave up a long time ago. So he's concerned about her. He don't know if she's back in jail. She can be on drugs. She can get caught up somewhere. He don't know what happened. So he just wants to know, like, where is she at?
Mm-hmm.
The production lets us know that since the last time they interviewed Shonda when she got out and at the bus stop, once she stopped communicating with Tyrese, she started communicating with everybody.
Shonda didn't say she was communicating with everybody. She said that she was taking time out to disconnect.
Everybody that had to do with Love After Lockup and Tyrese.
Took time to disconnect, get a job, maintain a car. Looked like she was living in a nice place.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just trying to get her life together just to refocus. So production said, so you haven't talked to Tyrese? No. Would you like to talk to him today? Sure, because Shonda's trying to get things off her chest and tell him she's sorry for ghosting him because that's not right. He deserved better. So once they made the phone call, Tyrese was like, hello? Girl, where you been? You know, kind of like that. So Shonda explained her story, and Tyrese was like, you know what? I just wanted the best for you, girl. I just wanted things to be good for us to work out. And Shonda's selling her piece again, and you know what?
She was like, can we still be friends? He's like, no, we can't be friends. He don't want to kick it with her, skate with her, eat lunch with her. None of that. He is done with her, over her. He hangs up the phone. I'm like, okay, Tyrese, he got some of his power back, I guess.
He said, goodbye.
But Shonda don't care because Shonda said she found her peace within herself. She's, trying to stay clean, kick her drug habit. She says she's not talking to none of her other sugar daddies, but maybe so, maybe not. Hopefully not that she's really, focusing on her and getting clean. But Tyrese is ready to move on to bigger and better things and goals. He got his blue suede suit back, his alligator blue boots. He got the axe on. He is ready to slay somebody else.
No. But I thought that was funny, though, that he was like, I'm going to be clean for the next person to come along. I got all this stuff. And I'm like, didn't you have it on with Shonda?
Don't be shady.
No.
Production.
But you did, though. That was your best outfit. He was like, I don't care. I was like, well, okay.
All right, everyone. So that was the end of this week's episode of Love After Lockup. And I'm really happy because they gave us lots of good entertainment in this episode.
They did.
I was definitely missing Quaylon and Chevelle because I need some updates on that Texas move with that one-way ticket. Because that is just out of this world crazy.
Well, I'm sure we'll get an update next week because he's on the move now, I'm sure. As far as everyone else goes, now, I know every week I say I'm looking into each episode, but I'm really looking forward to see what's going to happen. Is Kristiana going to jail, like, as soon as they make it back or on the way? Heather and Dylan, like, what's up with them? Are they going to stay at Aunt Diane's? And then everybody else going to come right along, too. So, stay tuned.
So, thank you all so much for watching. Let us know in the comments down below what you thought about this week's episode. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. You share this video to other people who watch Love After Lockup, and you become a subscriber to our channel because we have some new videos coming your way.
Thank you all for watching, and as always, live simply, be grateful.